I'm here at the desk again, doing a little writing, working on capital R, which is a form that's always been really difficult for me. I think it's one of the harder forms, one of the harder capital forms, and it's something I've kind of avoided, I would say. It's not a capital form that I seem to use a whole lot, but then again, I do use it on a regular basis. It's not like it's an X or something like that, or a Z that you just very rarely use. So it's definitely worth spending some time with. And I think even more importantly, when you have a letter that's giving you trouble, I think that's also a good sign that there's a lot to be gained by looking more closely at that letter. So doing that tonight as I work at the desk. And see, these are kind of all over the place. I started with a P here. The P is really the more basic form of this letter. It's 10 times easier because it's just really the first half or 2/3 of the letter. And it doesn't include this small loop that you have here in the letter, which is placing that loop, making that loop, keeping it open. You can see here it's closed. There's no space in there. There's no space in this one. So keeping it open like this is tough. And then placing it where you want it, it depends what exemplar you're looking at, but a lot of the exemplars, there's different forms of this R too that are easier and simpler, but a lot of them have it kind of crossing right over that stem like that. So actually having it loop right over the stem is really difficult. I think if you're going to miss one way or the other, you want to miss so that you're to the right, but you still want to at least touch it, I think is ideal. Touch the stem with it. And I think you want it a little bit above halfway of this stem. So, if my stem's going from here to here, I think I want it up a little bit more, up above halfway. Halfway on this is probably right here, maybe a little higher than that. So yeah, other difficult parts of this letter. See here, I have this big open space here. So keeping this upstroke tight on the stem, and then also having a nice rounded form. You can see this P is a nice rounded form. I wish I had brought it up maybe a little bit tighter, like that. That would have been a little bit nicer. Just that little bit of difference. But I want a nice rounded oval. I don't want this here. This is definitely what I don't want. This long oval. When you get this long oval going in this direction, you tend to bring the pen down lower, so you have this, you get tilted over this way, and then what that does is that causes you to make a loop that goes down. So the axis of this loop is going this way. I'm just trying to figure this out on the fly here. When you have more rounded oval, now you're in a more horizontal axis. So now I have a loop here that's more on that angle. That's what I want. I don't think I want a totally horizontal angle. I don't on the loop. I don't want one like this, but I do want one that's more closer to that than this. This is way too steep and down. So I think if you're struggling with the P at all, that's definitely a good place to start. Because with the P, you can work on this upstroke. So you can see I missed that one a little bit. You can work on the entry too. And then you can just work on making a nice loop there. And notice that I'm doing this big. I don't know exactly how big these lines are. This looks like it's close to an inch. An inch. A half an inch. Yeah, it's a little over a half an inch high, which is pretty big. So it's like, I think it was 5/8. So doing this pretty high or pretty big, and the reason for that is that that allows you to use complete muscular movement in this letter form. You don't need to worry about making the subtle transitions between different types of movement. And I might be wrong with that, because maybe even at this large size, you need to do a little bit of finger movement to make this loop. But even the bigger you do it, the less you need to worry about that. I think maybe you do need to have a little bit of a pause here, maybe a little bit of a pivot there, like that. Terrible. All right. And if I did it at smaller sizes, I would definitely need to use a more constrained movement and have a little more of a subtle changes between the types of movement, between finger movement, closing of the hand, just more subtle types of movement come into play at smaller sizes. So when you're studying, when you're practicing, it's good to do these bigger, work on it big first. You can also get rid of this at opening stem. Obviously not required. It does give you kind of a nice swing into the letter. And right now I'm working on this bounce exit off the baseline, which goes into another letter. I kind of like that style of it. It's a little more practical in terms of speed of writing. I like the look of it, as opposed to that type of finish, which is nice too. I like that. See, that was really not a bad attempt, and I would be somewhat satisfied with that. I don't think I want this. If I'm going to critique this, even though it's a good attempt, maybe you want this to be up a little bit higher, coming on a little more like that. I want to get rid of this gap here, so bring that tighter. It's a pretty good oval, maybe a little, not as far out. That's another problem. I'm bringing this oval out too far a lot of the times, and that's just because you have this momentum that wants you to make that big form. But keep that a little tighter. The angle of this loop is really great, exactly what I'm going for. It would have been nice to just move it a little bit to the left here so it hits that upstroke. And then this exit stroke is really what I'm going for too. When you have this horizontal oval, it really brings it over to the right, and then you come down. As opposed to this one, where I did the loop on this angle, and it really just comes straight down. You want that little bit of right. Even this one comes down too abruptly. I could have brought it out more like that. So yeah, lots going on here. Difficult letter. All different types of movement here. With the entry, you have this horizontal movement. Then you have this straight up and down push-pull movement. Then you have this indirect oval movement here. And then you have this tiny little almost horizontal loop that you need to make with a more restrained movement. Then you need to pull it out and make this move down. And then if you're doing this connecting stroke, then you need to bounce and do as tight of a turn as you can make on the exit. Or if you're not doing that, you still need to make a graceful exit like this one. You can make some ugly ones that just fall below the baseline and don't look very good. So a lot going on here. I'm going to end it there. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to practice a little bit longer, so you can feel free to stick around and watch that just for a couple more minutes. But yeah, thanks for watching. I will keep working on this letter. Let me know if you've been working on it, or if you do work on it after you watch this. I'd love to hear your comments. Check out my website, write me a letter, perfectbiscuits.com. You'll find the info there to write me a letter. I'd love to get one from you. Love to see your writing. And love it if you followed me on Instagram. It'd be great to see you over there. I post a lot over there. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will get back to working on this form.